A Valley man who went to a rally outside a Phoenix mosque on Friday to protest Islam has a change of heart somewhat. Went to the event where armed demonstrators spoke out against the Muslim faith. But after being invited inside the mosque, he says the congregation made him feel welcome. Andrew Hasbin live outside the Islamic Community Center of Phoenix, where a different rally is getting underway tonight. Andrew.
That's right, Troy. More on that rally in a minute. But you remember the scene out here on Friday. You wouldn't expect someone to be invited inside the mosque, but that is what happened. And he told us today that after going in there, he now has a very different perspective. Here's Jason Ledger and the organizer of Friday's rally wearing their profanity-laced T-shirts. Now, things have changed.
Out of respect for the Islamic people, knowing what I know now, since I have talked to them and spoke with them, no, I would not do that again. Just because I don't want to offend or hurt those people.
While at Friday's rally, Ledger spoke with a group of people who pray at the mosque, and he was invited inside.
But when I took a second to sit down and listen to them and actually enter their mosque and go in and watch some of their prayers, it was a beautiful thing, and they answered some of my questions that I had.
Ledger attended the rally with his uncle. For them, going was more about free speech than religion.
We don't have to like everything that's free in speech in this world, but we do have to let it happen. We do have to let people wear what they want, say what they want.
Ledger and his uncle say they've been invited back to the mosque for more discussions, and they plan to go. This time, the T-shirt will stay at home.
I feel that me and a few people like my Uncle Paul and the Muslim people taking time to talk to each other, I feel that we changed the thoughts of some people, and they changed the thoughts of me. Paul specifically said, I will never wear that shirt again.
I made my point, all right? The point was that even the most vile speech is protected under the First Amendment, okay? That was the point I was trying to make.
And tonight's rally is being organized by a number of religious groups. They're coming here to the mosque and holding what they're calling a love, not hate rally. That rally is set to get underway in about 30 minutes. Reporting live in Phoenix, I'm Andrew Hasbin, Fox 10 News.
Andrew, thank you. The organizer of the Freedom.
Julie Robb, this is a powerful story that begins with hate for people John Dutcher never met. And it turns into a story of acceptance and love for people he now calls his friends.
John Dutcher will straight out tell you what he thought of Muslims.
I actually hated Muslims.
The 9/11 terrorist attacks hit him hard and placed a hatred deep in his heart.
The women with their headdress on, I just would sneer at them.
Dutcher had never met a Muslim. Then one day, a family from Syria moved in across the hall.
It's a lot, man.
Downstairs, an Afghan family found a home.
Twins, look at them. Aren't they so cute?
Dutcher was surrounded by the people he loathed, but Muslims moving in moved him.
It took this to wake me up, yeah.
A change of heart for the man who didn't realize he had such a big heart. Bicycles in the hallway replaced the trash from his previous drug addict neighbor. Children's laughter now fills the air.
It's just music to my ears, basically, from what it was before.
And his new neighbors need him.
Now they call me Big Brother because they call me for everything. After 3 months of being here, they all have jobs, they all have cars, their kids are going to school.
They hardly come to us because they're always like, John, John, John. Like everything, they go to him.
A volunteer with Lutheran Family Services, Fatima Shah helps the families adjust to their new life in America. She calls Dutcher an inspiration.
He actually preaches this to everyone. He says, well, if you hate a Muslim, go get to know one.
They took the hatred out of me. It's just, I just never knew how badly somebody could hate to someone they don't even know.
Now, Dutcher, who voted for Trump, disagrees with the president's Muslim ban and says everyone should have such great neighbors like he has. Lutheran Family Services says from October of 2015 to just last week, it's helped settle 21 Syrian families with a total of 116 people right here in Omaha. Back to you.
I'll never forget the morning that I saw an article about a group of Muslims who had bought 30 acres and were planning to build a complex. When I saw that, my stomach kind of tightened up. They were going to be right across the street from us. I felt that ignorance and that fear. So I prayed. I said, Lord, what are we supposed to do?
The idea of Memphis Islamic Center started because we felt we needed a family life center, a place for people to pray and play, to socialize, and have a sense of community. It is a difficult time for Muslims in America. We did not expect to be welcomed. We thought we have to work hard. And one day we were driving by and we see a banner, and that banner says,
Heartsong Church welcomes the Memphis Islamic Center to the neighborhood.
Me and my wife both were thinking about leaving church because I just did not accept what was going on.
Lord, we are so humble.
I went to Pastor Steve and asked him, I said, what are we doing? He told me to read the Gospels. When I read through those Gospels, and I figured out I was the problem. What was going on with the world today? I was the problem.
And then we started building. The month of fasting, the month of Ramadan, was supposed to be our grand opening day where we start praying here, and it was clear that we were not going to have our hall ready.
We got a call, and Bashar said, we just wondered if we could use your building for our prayers.
In case we don't get our permit in time. Instead of using the room for a few nights, we ended up spending the entire month of Ramadan at Heartsong Church. Ramadan brought us much closer. People started knowing each other on a personal level.
We had done coat drives and food drives, and close to 9/11, we do a blood drive together.
I would have never thought that I would be friends with Muslims right here. And I love it. It's kind of like my world got bigger.
We are a better congregation now. We are better people because of this friendship with Heartsong.
It's an amazing friendship that I can't imagine having missed out on.
How's everybody doing today? Well, cheer louder if you're having fun.
Good morning, John. So it's a little shocking to me, and like a lot of other people, that a 14-year-old kid in a NASA shirt brought a clock that he built to school to show his engineering teacher and was arrested and taken to a juvenile detention center. But then on the other hand, it's not shocking because Ahmed Mohammed's name is Ahmed Mohammed, and he is Muslim. And many people in America are afraid of Muslims. Now, I'm not gonna make a video here about how the vast majority of Muslims, just like any other broad, diverse group of people, are good people. Two reasons for that. First, finding statistics on the internet that make this very clear is pretty easy. Second, making a video defending Muslims would ignore the actual problem, which is the bias and the fear-mongering that creates suspicion and hatred. And those things are our problems. And our problems we can deal with so much more easily than trying to deal with other people's problems, especially when those problems are imagined. Now, of course, it's not super comfortable to recognize your own problems, and it doesn't make you feel all good, which is why this video is not gonna go super viral. But since it is the actual problem, and also one that we can deal with conceivably since we are the ones with the problem, that's what I want to make the video about. So, why do so many Americans, including, I'll be honest, sometimes myself, fall into this fear trap? First, because it's just impossible to know everything about everyone, and though Muslims have been in America since America existed, they are a significant minority, less than 1%. So most Americans simply don't know much about Muslims or the Islamic faith. But we do hear about Muslims fairly regularly on the news, and we hear about the scariest Muslims in the world. So if you're expected to have an idea of what Muslim people are like, and this is the only input you're getting, you're gonna have a really messed up idea. It's an easy mistake for a brain to make, but it is a huge mistake because we know nothing. An example, what percentage of Muslims would you say live in the Middle East? 80%? 85%? That's what I would have said before starting to research this video. How about 20%? 60% of Muslims live in Asia, the single country with the largest Muslim population Indonesia. If we are ignorant of such a basic fact, how could we consider ourselves qualified to make sweeping generalizations about a broad and diverse group of people? Once these negative ideas are set up in our brain, they can be easily reinforced in people who are motivated by fear and outrage. Those people watch other people on TV who professionally cultivate outrage and fear because it's good for ratings. And that fear then prevents conversations and causes the majority to isolate Muslims from their broader communities by doing things like, for example, arresting a kid for bringing a clock to class. So the fear builds on itself until what was once ignorance and became fear eventually becomes hatred. And once you hate someone, they know it. Muslims in America are certainly not ignorant of the hatred and the discrimination, but Muslims in other countries aren't ignorant of the more extreme American views either. In fact, I'm willing to bet that in the same way that we hear mostly just about scary Muslims on American news, in other countries they hear mostly about the scariest versions of Americans. And if people in other countries are going to put us in a little box, which they are bound to do because no one can know everything about everyone, what little box do we want to get put into? Do we want to be in the hates Muslims box? Or do we want to be in the values religious freedom and provides opportunities for people who seek it box? I think we should fight that fear. I think we can fight that fear. And the only way to do it, the only place to do it, is up here. It's right in here. John, I'll see you on Tuesday.
What are you here for?
Not you.
Not me? How do you know?
Fuck, I'm not here for you.
What if I'm Muslim?
Walk on.
A woman was the only protester in front of the Islamic Cultural Center in Ohio to protest against the Islamic faith. But she was met with counter-protesters who sparked a debate.
I have friends that are ex-Muslim that tell me very well what they stand for.
Where in the Quran does it say Muslims are going to cut the heads off
I
of people?
don't memorize the Quran.
I've read the Quran almost a dozen times, and I read it in Arabic.
I don't care what
So
you read.
how did I miss this thing that you're saying is there? But you feel so passionately about this, and
I feel so passionately because I see children being raped and tortured, and it breaks my heart.
I think it breaks everyone's heart.
I watched the video of the 21 Christians being slaughtered, and it just absolutely broke my heart.
It breaks my heart, absolutely.
She was carrying multiple signs, but after a long conversation with a woman from the religious center in a YouTube video posted by Makai Ben David, the protester then hugs the woman wearing a hijab.
There's not evil in me. There's not evil in me. I pray for my Muslim brothers and sisters.
Hold on.
I pray for the murdering to stop.
The protester was identified by the mosque on Facebook as Annie. She was invited into the mosque and greeted with applause.
You are the winner. Everyone is.
Be sure to watch Inside Edition.
Talk about it with the viewers. It's a story that we discussed yesterday afternoon when I had Andrew Hasman up here. But it's a story that a lot of people are talking about nationally now. So we had that huge story, you know, last week with the protests at the mosque on Friday. You know, a lot of people tuning in to see what was going to happen with that. And there was one story that really stood out, and that story was the story about Jason Ledger.
Yeah, that is such a great story. We were talking about it, and I was amazed, but I think it's so cool. I have just a quick thought on this, then I'll run. One is that I think it's really cool that people's hearts can be changed over their prejudices by being at least open-minded enough to talk to someone who's different from them.
Right, so we're talking about a guy who was wearing one of the F Islam shirts at the rally last week.
And who was like a big spokesman for it.
Right.
He was one of the main guys being interviewed the whole time.
Yeah,
he was so
close to the organizer.
Right,
And he accepted an invitation from the mosque to attend their evening prayer.
From a couple of people who I think were attendees at the mosque. I don't think it was like from the top guy.
Right, people at the mosque.
Yeah, they're like,
and
come on in, just come on in and see what we're really all about, that kind of a thing.
Right, and so he did, and Andrew covered the story yesterday. I'm going to first play Andrew's story that aired on the 6 o'clock newscast, and then after that wraps, I am going to play the full raw interview. So it's about 15 minutes, and it includes the interview that Andrew did with Jason as well as Jason's uncle.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play that for you guys here.
Okay, which Boy, I wish there was some way to literally get the word out all over the country that you're going to do that, because this is exclusive to us.
This is exclusive.
This is a 15-minute interview that shows you how he could have a change of heart. I think some of the protesters, honestly, Samia, were a little bit surprised at how many people in the community who weren't Muslim, could have been atheist or any other religion, came out and said, we are going to support our friends.
Right. Most of the people in attendance there on the pro-love side weren't Muslim. It was a lot of people carrying signs talking about Jesus with Bible quotes, you know, signs that extend, you know, peace offerings, things like that. And yesterday, I know they had an interfaith event at the mosque last night, and Rachel, one of our regular viewers, actually attended.
Is that right, Rachel?
Yeah,
that's
she was
really
tweeting
cool.
me some photos.
There is a huge interfaith organization and movement here in the Valley that has, I would say, most of the various faiths represented. And the whole idea is like, hey, sure, we're all different, but that's part of America, is that we all come from our own different beliefs, we all come from our own different racial backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, religious beliefs, and somehow it all works.
Well, that's the thing. If you think about, go back to your history books, and I'm glad I have you here for this. If you go back to what America's founded on, why did people leave in the first place?
Right.
So they could have that freedom of religion.
Right.
That's why they came here, you know?
That's right.
So if you think about the basis for the founding of this country, well, then you kind of, it doesn't mean just like freedom of religion for this one group then.
Correct.
Because then it
Although I would say the Puritans tried to have that. They came over here and they were very puritanical.
I'm just saying.
Still.
It's hypocritical. I don't know.
No, it's still, you're right.
I'm just saying.
I better go, but pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. So I'm going to play the story that aired in the 6 o'clock newscast last night, so you kind of have the overview, the 2-minute piece that Andrew did, and then I will play that extended interview for all of you guys who want to hear everything that Jason Ledger has to say.
A Valley man who went to a rally outside a Phoenix mosque on Friday to protest Islam has a change of heart somewhat. Went to the event where armed demonstrators spoke out against the Muslim faith. But after being invited inside the mosque, he says the congregation made him feel welcome. Andrew Hasman live outside the Islamic Community Center of Phoenix, where a different rally is getting underway tonight. Andrew.
That's right, Troy. More on that rally in a minute, but you remember the scene out here on Friday. You wouldn't expect someone to be invited inside the mosque, but that is what happened. And he told us today that after going in there, he now has a very different perspective. Here's Jason Ledger and the organizer of Friday's rally wearing the profanity-laced t-shirts. Now, things have changed.
Out of respect for the Islamic people, knowing what I know now, since I have talked to them and spoke with them, no, I would not do that again. Just because I don't want to offend or hurt those people.
While at Friday's rally, Ledger spoke with a group of people who pray at the mosque, and he was invited inside.
But when I took a second to sit down and listen to them and actually enter their mosque and go in and watch some of their prayers, it was a beautiful thing, and they answered some of my questions that I had.
Ledger attended the rally with his uncle. For them, going was more about free speech than religion.
We don't have to like everything that's free in speech in this world, you know, but we do have to let it happen. You know, we do have to let people wear what they want, say what they want.
Ledger and his uncle say they've been invited back to the mosque for more discussions, and they plan to go. This time, the t-shirt will stay at home.
I feel that me and a few people like my Uncle Paul and the Muslim people taking time to talk to each other, I feel that we changed the thoughts of some people and they changed the thoughts of me. Paul specifically said, I will never wear that shirt again.
I made my point, all right? The point was that even the most vile speech is protected under the First Amendment, okay? That was the point I was trying to make.
And tonight's rally is being organized by a number of religious groups. They're coming here to the mosque and holding what they're calling a love, not hate rally. That rally is set to get underway in about 30 minutes. Reporting live in Phoenix, I'm Andrew Hasman, Fox 10 News.
Andrew, thank you. The organizer.
All right. Again, that was the story that Andrew Hasbun did last night in regards to that interview with Jason Ledger. I'm now going to play that full interview for you guys. Again, for those of you who just tuning in, I'm playing the extended raw interview with Jason Ledger. There are a couple of parts where you see an edit, and that's just because we had to adjust audio things and fix the mic when there was wind. But other than that, it is the full interview with him. It's about 15 minutes long and includes that interview with Jason Ledger as well as his uncle who you saw in that piece. So let me just pull that up for you guys now. And just give me a second. All right, here it is.
Tell us why you wanted to be part of the rally on Friday.
Okay, I wanted to be part of the rally because I believe in the rights and freedoms in America. I did not believe in anything that was said on my shirt at all. I went because in America we have the right of freedom of speech, and I felt I have the right to wear that shirt.
So for you, it wasn't so much an anti-Islam thing, it was a free speech thing.
Yeah, no, it was nothing against Islam. I don't know enough about any kind of religion to have a problem with any religion. Whatever religion makes you a good person, that's the religion for you. I went because I have the right to wear that shirt without having my life threatened or feel I'm in danger because I have a silly shirt on with a silly statement.
Before we get to going inside the mosque and all that stuff, so what would you want to say to someone who is Islamic and takes offense, or is Muslim and takes offense to that shirt?
Look, I guess all I want to say is, in a sense, is, look, I love all people. I have no problem with your religion. Maybe you should just take it as more of a joke than anything, because the world is full of people that don't make sense, and you may get offended at something they say, but it doesn't have to be drawn to a level of violence or anything like that.
So when you're out there, what struck you the most when you were out at the rally?
You know, what struck me the most, honestly, was when I took a minute to actually talk to some of the Muslim people to find out, you know, they are just like me, and I am uneducated on their religion. You know, I could easily make as many mistake judgment calls as any other person out there, but when I took a second to sit down and listen to them and actually enter their mosque and go in and watch some of their prayers, it was a beautiful thing, and they answered some of my questions that I had. And I just feel that maybe that's something that they should do too for the people. A lot of us are uneducated, you know. Educate us on your religion. Let us know that not everybody's a bad person.
Question again.
Okay.
So what struck you the most, would you say, about your time out there on Friday?
What struck me the most is definitely when I took a minute to talk to the Islamic people, you know, just to find that they are people just like us. I mean, they are American citizens, and to sit there and to listen to what they had to say in their religion and they answered some of my questions. I mean, I found that to open up my eyes, and I think that if they took the time to do that with more people, that more people would have their eyes open to their religion and what it's all about.
What kind of questions did you have for them?
I just had some basic questions, you know, some questions about their women and why they separate them and stuff like that, and how it works in the prayer sessions with the women. You know, I know that they weren't supposed to be in the same rooms. That's just how uneducated I was. I mean, just the little stuff I knew, that they weren't supposed to be in the same rooms or their women's covered up. I asked them about that, and they answered my questions on that kind of stuff. You know, there was reasons behind all of it that made sense, that weren't as, you know, as vague as I've known them to be.
Would you say some misconceptions, or
yeah,
there? Or?
Yes. I mean, a lot of misconceptions. I mean, they definitely wanted to let me know that they do treat their women very, very well. Maybe even better so than a lot of people here in America, which I wouldn't doubt. You know, but yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions on what they do and how they treat their women. I mean, and it's after they explain it to me, it does seem like, you know, I was misled, or my thoughts on it weren't correct, just from maybe what I've read in the media, and, you know, just from what I've learned here, because I haven't taken any time to actually learn anything about their religion.
So how did the going in come about? Tell me how that went down.
Well, like I said, I was standing there talking with them. You know, there was a group of us. I was listening to their stories and how some of them got here from their countries, and they invited me in. They asked if I'd like to come in. I said I would like to come in and watch a prayer. So I did, and I'll tell you, it was a beautiful thing. I watched something beautiful, you know.
Why do you say that?
Well, because what I watched is I watched a bunch of people come together. You know, they seemed very united. Everybody did the same thing, you know, very respectful, kneel down before their God that they believe in. You know, and it was a peaceful prayer. I mean, they prayed in Islamic tongue, which I didn't understand, but the gentleman next to me was very nice and answered a lot of my questions about it, you know, which I needed. You know, I needed to be educated.
And you ran into an old friend. You feel comfortable talking about that?
I did. I ran into a friend of mine, Ronald. I'll say his first name. Yes.
Neighbor?
Yeah, my neighbor. I grew up with him, and it was great to see him. Me and him hugged and talked about old times, and you know, there was no animosity from him to me or from me to him.
So did you know growing up that he was Muslim, or was this something that happened to him later in life?
No, I believe he also converted. It happened later in life. I mean, he was a lot like me and made some wrong decisions, and he found his way to better his life. And for that, I applaud him. I don't care what religion he found. If you've bettered your life, you're better for society. I applaud that.
Was he upset with you for being there?
No, you know, not at all.
Like, what are you doing?
No, he only asked me once, and I told him that it's purely why I was there, why I had the shirt on, and you know, he smiled at me, gave me a hug, and said, "Man, I respect that." You know, because he didn't know either. He was uneducated on my thoughts as well until I educated him.
So, how would you say that going in and seeing them and talking to those people there changed your perceptions?
You know, like I said, a lot of it, how nice they were to me. I mean, really, they didn't hold any judgment, and that's what I wanted. I wanted them not to hold any judgment because of a silly shirt I was wearing, because the truth is it was just a shirt, and I did tell them I didn't know anything about their religion. And the way they welcomed me with open arms, they invited me and my Uncle Paul back to join in their prayer and ask any questions that we may have. They would gladly answer for us. I mean, that's what struck me amazing about the people, is once I came inside, there was no hostility, there was no anger like what was going on outside with both people.
It was civil.
It was very civil, yeah.
I mean, you would expect that, given the situation, that they probably wouldn't invite you. I mean, this is not something you expected to happen going out there.
No, you know, look, I didn't know what to expect to go out there. All I expected was that I was going to come home alive, regardless of what T-shirt I was wearing. But no, I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't. And when they invited me, I was honored, actually, and I didn't even hesitate. I gladly walked in there and joined them.
So now after all this,
real windy.
Would you do it again?
Yeah. That's a good question. Out of respect for the Islamic people, knowing what I know now, since I have talked to them and spoke with them, no, I would not do that again. Just because I don't want to offend or hurt those people, okay? But do I think people should not wear that kind of shirt? No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm not going to ever tell the next guy or hurt the next guy if he wants to wear that shirt. I think it should all be taken as a grain of salt, man. Life is not that serious. It doesn't need to come to anger and everybody's news media attention over it. You know, I just think that we all just need to love each other, you know. And
so what is the message that you hoped was being sent out of everything that happened Friday? What was the message that you personally wanted to get out and that got misconstrued?
You know, the main thing that got misconstrued, of course, is the T-shirt I was wearing. Okay, and again,
you weren't the only one wearing it.
I wasn't,
and that's what started it. Like that when Jace, what's his name again? The guy that
John.
John. When he was on the side of the road, that's kind of what started it all.
That is what started it. Yes. Look, I'm a firm believer in the right to be able to wear a shirt just like that, or any shirt you want without being hurt. That's my whole point of it. And the biggest thing I got out of all this is when I started actually talking to them, I let them know that too, that this is the reason why I'm here. I'm here because wearing this shirt because I want you guys to look at it for what it is. It's a silly T-shirt. I don't even believe what it says. I didn't believe what it says when I went there. I just wore it as a protest to my freedom of speech, because whether people like it or not, everybody has the right to be an idiot in this country, and we have to be okay with that. We have to try to help and educate and not hurt those people that are idiots. You know, that's how I feel.
So I know you've heard the argument. I know you've heard it said a million times, but people will come and see that and say, well, just because it's free speech doesn't mean it's a good idea. So just give me a response to that sort of that mentality, that mindset.
I think that maybe those people are a little too sensitive. okay? That's what I really think. I think maybe that's more of a personal problem, you know? You don't like it, I don't like it, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean those people don't have the right to do it, okay? We don't have to like everything that's free in speech in this world, you know, but we do have to let it happen, you know? We do have to let people wear what they want, say what they want. I don't feel like it's antagonizing. I just think that's somebody else's perception of it.
Were you surprised that they were willing to let you in and be so open?
No, not really. Not really, because like I said, once I started talking to them, they're people too, just like us, okay? And I wasn't really surprised by the fact that they would openly invite me in. You know, I was happy, honored, and enjoyed it, and I was glad that they did. Yeah.
Last question for you. Just why do you even want to talk about this? Why do you want to get your message out?
I want to talk about this because I feel that a lot of the media paints it one way. I want the media to understand that it wasn't a bunch of hate Mongols there. You know, I'm not a hateful person. I'm not a racist. I have no problem with religion. I was there for one reason, and a lot of people were there for that reason. But I do want everybody to be educated on religion before they make judgments of people. I definitely do want that. I think everybody should be educated on anything that they may make a judgment on.
Anything else you want to add? Anything else you feel like you want to get out there?
What do you think, Paul? Anything else?
Open wide.
You know what? I think you pretty much nailed it, man. That they're all this evidence they had that people were there for freedom of speech, and you didn't see a damn bit of it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah,
I mean how many times was I interviewed, Jay? How many times, dude?
You know, a ton, and that's the thing I do kind of want to get out is look more into what it was for a lot of people. I mean, it wasn't just me sharing that ideology. There was a lot of people there that were there for free speech. You saw the bad on both sides. I was there. I seen people on the Muslim side screaming, yelling racist things at the people on the other side, and I saw the same thing from the people on this side screaming it. But it was, again, it was a handful in groups of people doing it to each other. There was a lot of people on both sides that said nothing, including myself. I never once screamed anything at them. They never, you know, nobody really necessarily screamed in my face, just in my direction. But there was, when I was sitting there looking over there, I saw lots of people just doing the same thing I was doing.
Now, were you the only one that went inside?
I was the only one that went inside the mosque.
Were you the only one invited, or you the only one who said yes?
They invited me as well.
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one that said yes. Maybe some other people were invited. I am the only one that went inside. Besides some, there were some pastors from another church that were in there as well.
John actually talked to the Muslim.
Right?
Well, I was going to get on my tripod, but...
Why wouldn't you wear it again?
Because I made my point, all right? The point was that even the most vile speech is protected under the First Amendment, okay? That was the point I was trying to make. I don't know enough about Islam to hate Islam, all right? So when I started talking to those guys at the fence, all right, I went over there and asked them, hey, look, you know, this is what we're hearing, and you're telling me that isn't true, that's, you know, they're twisting your words out. That's what they said. ISIS is twisting their words, you know? And I'm like, well, we don't know that. I mean, you know, I'm an American. I don't know anything about that. So when we started talking, and they were saying the same things, hey, look, we hate ISIS as much as you do, all right? They're killing more Muslims than there are Americans, and that's a fact. So once we started talking, and I asked him if I could write some questions down, and they would answer them for him. And a guy named Ali, he's the president of the community center, he said, yeah, please come back. He would be glad to answer them. So Jay and I are going back on Friday, and we're going to sit down and ask some questions, you know, and try to get some answers about some stuff. Because, look, you know, this is about freedom of speech. They have every right to pray to whatever God they want, okay? That's America. That's how it goes, okay? So, you know, the depressing thing for me was that all that stuff, all those discussions, someone took video of them, all right, and you won't see a darn syllable of it, okay? That's what's embarrassing to me, all right? You're supposed to be a free press, but it's like they're trying to paint a picture.
Well, sometimes the loudest voices drown out the
others.
Well,
I mean, I agree, you know, I understand that, but you know what? If you want the whole story and the truth, if that's what you're really after, then why wouldn't you put something up there like that? People were there trying to work out their differences with discussion. We weren't yelling or screaming or cussing or saying bad things about each other. And did that make TV? No, of course not.
It is now.
Well, thank God, you know, but I mean, we were trying to have a discussion about free speech, all right? And we did. We went, Jason, man, we went over there and started talking to those guys, and he's right. They were people just like us, all right? They were courteous, they were nice, they explained that this is all a big misunderstanding, and you know, I can't call them liars. I don't know anything about Islam, so I'm going to write some questions down, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to ask them, and I'm going to sit there and listen to their answers, because they have as much right to answer those questions. I mean, instead of somebody screaming hateful things at them, I'm going to ask them some serious questions. I mean, isn't that what it's supposed to be about?